Hello, my friends. It is April 16th, 2025, and this is the Daily Brief. Big story, Ukraine hit another big center of where rockets were being fired from, the 116th, I believe, this time, instead of the 448th. So they hit this big group yesterday, and they're hitting another one today. We'll talk about that in just a moment. 1,050 Russians off the battlefield. Pretty low compared to other days. 1,050 brings the average down to 1,296. I don't even see another 1,000 in the month of April. So that's on the lowest side. 9 tanks, 13 armored fighting vehicles, 87 artillery systems, 133 vehicles and fuel tanks. So that's the battlefield's kind of quiet right now, kind of a calm before the storm. We know a big offensive's coming. In the cross direction, Ukrainian defenders stopped 16 assaults. That 16 is a very low number, correlated with the 1050, and so that's where we are there. Russia launched 97 Shahed drones, of which 57 were shot down. Another 34 were either suppressed by electronic warfare or just didn't reach its targets. You don't see a lot of damage, but Russia also was dropping air bombs, destroying the ice arena in Kherson this morning. There are confirmed fatalities. Shops, schools, residential buildings, post office, and cars were damaged in a strike. The ice arena, because that's where apparently, NATO forces were gathering and mustering so that they could attack Mother Russia. Okay, here, this is an interesting video. In Ukraine's southern city of Kherson, the head of the city administration came under fire while updating residents on morning strikes. Well, he was under fire. He was very close to a missile, and you'll see him just in a moment. He's seeing it, he's hearing something, and whoa, he's getting out of Dodge. Whoa, yeah. So there was something going overhead at the time. Okay, the number of victims of the Russian attack on April 13th has increased to 125, 107 adults, 18 children. There are currently 44 people in hospitals, including 10 children. So blood drives in like Kharkiv, people are volunteering left, right, and center. So that's good. The people care about other Ukrainians. Okay. Ukraine hits the 448th Brigade involved in the Sumy missile strike. That was yesterday. Following the missile strike on Sumy that killed 35 people, Ukraine targeted Russia units based in Kursk and Voronezh Oblasts. And then there is this interesting bit here. Ukraine appears to have enacted some preemptive retribution for Sunday's Russian ballistic attack on Sumy that killed dozens. Ukrainian attack drones hit the repair base of Russia's 448th Missile Brigade, one of the units responsible for the strike. And that was about April 1st. It's April 16th right now. Okay, I don't know that I would say that this is preemptive retribution. I think maybe it's a fluke. They knew that something was there and targeted it. So that's what was going on there. Russian Telegram channels, however, now are reporting a massive drone strike on the city of Shoya in Russia's Ivanovo region. This is according to Z-Bloggers. 112th Brigade, that's the one being attacked today of the Russian armed forces, was attacked, which carried out a strike on the center of Sumy on Palm Sunday. So apparently the 448th and the 112th were the two organizations involved. Explosions rock Russia's Ivanovo region. Drones are striking the military targets. Russian media say that the target is the 112th Guards Missile Brigade. Okay, one of the arrivals hitting the 112th, and that big orange blob is still shot. Gift for the 112th Brigade. This is for Sumy, is written on the wing here, and so they're getting their retribution for what has happened in Sumy. Okay, let's turn our attention a little bit more toward the battlefield. The 5th Assault Brigade, together with the 93rd Mechanized Brigade and the Phoenix UAV Regiment operators, successfully repelled a massive Russian assault. This was about the only one I could find. There weren't very many out there. They launched 4 waves in the morning and 1 in the evening, but they were met with FPV drones, airdrop munitions, artillery fire, minefields. As a result, 13 armored vehicles were taken out, 9 destroyed, 4 damaged, and infantry was eliminated. Now, this is just a guy driving down the road. This is what Russian occupied and liberated from life in Bakhmut and Donetsk region looks like now. Just get a sense of this is what Bakhmut looks like. Remember that big push to capture Bakhmut? Well, they captured it. This is what they did to it. He's just driving down the street. And it looks like, I mean, of course it's something out of a war zone because it is a war zone, but wow. Okay. In other news, Jewish soldiers, this is Sergei Sumileny posting this, Jewish soldiers of the Ukrainian 3rd Assault Brigade have received presents from Chief Rabbi of Kyiv before Ukraine's Chief Rabbi has congratulated the Azov Brigade, now a corps, to the anniversary of its founding. Tell me more about Nazis in Ukraine. Now, I'm sure they'll just say, see, even the Chief Rabbi is deceived by those neo-Nazis. In other news, trade war field just got a new hit from Trump. China retaliated to Trump's tariffs, and so Trump has now threatened, this is from the White House, you can read it right here at the very bottom, Trump has now threatened tariffs on China to go to 245%. 245%. China now faces a 245% tariff on imports to the United States as a result of its retaliatory actions. This isn't going well. Tesla's global sales fell sharply during the first quarter of 2025, but the electronic vehicle brand remains in demand in Ukraine due to a recent drop in prices. So this guy just got his Tesla. He only paid $18,000 for his used Tesla because people are dumping them. So here it's an opportunity to buy. Rubio and Witkoff are to meet French leaders for talks on Ukraine peace efforts. The weird thing about this, and I saw this in another article, is that Witkoff is supposed to meet with Macron and Rubio is going to meet with lesser underlings. Weird, because he's the Secretary of State, which is supposed to be the highest cabinet post in the cabinet, and he's just a special envoy, but he's more loyal to Trump. It's weird. The U.S. is preparing. Oh, by the way, when we go to this, they're talking about high-stakes talks on Ukraine, Iran, trade issues with French leadership. But it's the Iran thing that's really got the United States government's attention. The U.S. is preparing for a massive buildup in the Middle East, and the Yemeni civil war prepares to reignite. Okay, so America doesn't have the luxury of focusing on one area at a time in the world. They have to kind of keep their eyes on multiple places. Like, could something pop off with Taiwan and what's going on with Iran and the Yemenis who are attacking ships and that sort of thing. Hunter Brook tracked hundreds of USAF, that's United States Air Force, cargo flights in CENTCOM over the last month, seeing a nearly 400% increase as the U.S. deployed numerous assets. So they're deploying these assets to the Middle East because they're going to do something about the Houthis who are attacking ships in the Mediterranean, the Red Sea, that sort of thing. Okay. On April 14th, Russian forces reportedly launched long-range FPV drones against Zaporizhzhia for the first time. That's bad. The Russians are getting better at this. Russia has developed or acquired drones with long range to exceed 30 kilometers, so they're able to attack Zaporizhzhia from some distance. Now, Kremlin propaganda also released a video of military drone operators working out of a skyscraper in Moskva City District in Moscow. The video was then quickly deleted, but this will be geolocated, and Russians are waging war out of civilian buildings, which means if they're waging these wars out of civilian buildings, they made themselves a target. So if you see this, just be aware of that. We talked about this on this day. Ukraine has unveiled a new cruise missile called BARS, a domestically producible missile drone with a range of 700 to 800 kilometers. Its key advantage is its scalable production for frequent strikes deep inside Russia. They're not the most effective, but you can produce a bunch of them, and some of them will get through. So, okay, how birds of prey are born. It's just some inside look at like guys just in a workshop somewhere in their basement working on these things, putting these things together. It's pretty interesting. Now, Ukraine tests over 70 land drones. Ground robots from 50 manufacturers are being evaluated for range, payload capacity, electronic warfare performance, and ongoing trials. I understand, and it's hard to wrap my mind around this, but I understand that these drones will become more significant than aerial drones during the war. Here are some pictures of these drones, and this is FPV. I'm sorry, this is fiber optic, which they're having a hard time with fiber optic. Obviously, it gets snagged on things. And here's some other pictures of these drones. But yeah, this is the future of warfare that you're seeing right here. Zelensky and NATO General Secretary visited wounded soldiers in the hospital. President Zelensky and Mark Rutte visited wounded soldiers. Rutte acknowledged the vital role of Ukrainian doctors in saving lives. And then Rutte was talking about, he was giving a speech, and he's talking about today we again spoke about the important talks that President Trump is leading with Ukraine as well as with Russia to try to end the war and secure a durable peace. Good. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is proposing eliminating U.S. funding for NATO. Not making this up. The proposal includes 48% reduction in the State Department's budget. So this is part of all the DOGE activities, and this would be a bad step the wrong direction. Darth Putin we're almost done. Darth Putin says it will be amusing to watch you try to persuade Iran to give up their nukes while Trump supports Russia's invasion of a country that gave up nukes in exchange for a U.S. assurance that they wouldn't be invaded. Yeah, there's something to that. And then finally, good morning from Ukraine. Morale is high. Well, yeah. Morale is high, and this soldier doesn't look like any spring chicken. He's well north of 20, maybe 40 or 50. But morale is high because the enemy is to your front while your family is to your back. That's why morale is high. Thank you, my friends. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, and the subscribes. And thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.